Good morning, good morning, good morning. And good morning, good morning, good morning. Super cool. So thank you for allowing me Saturday. So it's funny. So I really don't get out much. And so when I was doing my taxes Friday, the accountant was like, okay, great. I have your payroll. I have your investor distributions. I have your investments. And I have all your expenses. And then they start going through the list of other. Have you done this? Have you done that? Have you? And it made me realize, and I said to the account, I'm like, I'm just boring. I don't actually do anything. If you have my taxes for work and my expenses, that's it. Hey, Deborah. And to that point, so my wife, she, and it's funny because our daughter is only 4 months, and our daughter for the first 2 months was being breastfed. So when she wakes up at night, obviously that's more my wife than I, right? Like I can't actually complete that task. And then it just, mom and daughter became just mom and daughter. And mom is like a total mama bear, right? So our 4-month daughter, when she wakes up, even if I was the one to go ahead and perform the task, my wife would be up anyway. So my wife is up. And to that point, she really doesn't get much sleep. Plus, she owns she's partnered with a full-time position. Oh, thanks, Brian. So she's working all day and rarely sleeps at night. So she has this fantasy that on a Friday night, one night, we'll go to Atlantic City and we'll eat dinner. And maybe, oh, thank you, Tim. And maybe we'll play like some roulette. And the part of the fantasy that really gets her the most is to get to bed and go to sleep in those big, resort beds with those big pillows and the blackout curtains and all of that. So she checks every week to see when it becomes affordable. And Friday, it was like $119 for a room. And she's like, Aunt. And I was like, okay, fine. Like $119, I could do that. And I share that for a couple of reasons. But one, when we go to Lake City, it's like, we're the biggest penny pinchers. Oh, 119? Okay, we'll go this weekend. And we purchase our comedy tickets ahead of time, so we get the discounts and blah, blah, blah. The point of the story, though, when we go ahead and wake up, she makes it very clear the night before, if you wake me up, I'm going to fill in the blank. So I don't wake her up. And by not waking her up, I don't know what time we're going to leave Atlantic City, but I know that's the time she needs to sleep. So when we were leaving, I was like, okay, there's no way I'm going to be able to get home and do my email because, I'm not allowed to bring my computer. My wife would shoot me. And there's no way I'm going to be able to get home and get on a live. So thank you for allowing me to cancel it. And anyone that knows me knows, like, I wore that all day. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm doing nothing, right? And it's a funny feeling. So thank you. Anyway, so let's get to the good stuff, right? So today I have our Salesforce exam at 3:00, and I'm going to be preparing all day for it, right? Like, so I have a bazillion note cards and flashcards that I made along the way. And I haven't looked at anything over the weekend because, again, Friday we went out, then Saturday we came home, caught up with our children, then Sunday is Sunday, which I also believe in any type of studying, you could burn yourself out. So take some time off and then revisit it. So I'll be revisiting it all day today. So that's at 3:00. So that's that. And I'm actually quite excited about it. And to that point, our emails have been quite boring lately. And when I say boring, I mean, if you read one, you've probably read the next three, because it's kind of been, your subconscious will carry you. Thank you. It's like if you read one, you've read the next three. And I want to go ahead and share that that's not going to be the way it's going to continue. It's like that just now because we have not done the marketing for RHINOHUB. So in lieu of doing the marketing, hey Terry. Okay, cool. Yeah, obviously. Email me anything you'd like. So in lieu of doing the marketing, we want to go ahead and make sure that we kind of do some email marketing, right? So we constantly add new emails to our email list and we share what we're doing. And for those new individuals that are like, hey, I don't know who RHINO is, but this Salesforce thing sounds kind of interesting. they go ahead and join. So we're up to 155, and of those, I believe about 51, I think, are all new individuals, people outside of RHINO, which is good, and it's completely free. Well, we pay for our email services, right? But it's kind of like an airplane. The overhead is exactly the same regardless of how many passengers you have. So yeah, we pay an overhead for our email, meaning these 51 individuals that joined us, we did not pay extra for, is the point. And in the sequences that is the RHINOHUB, it's completely unedited. It's as raw as it gets. It's me with the camera on going through note cards, or it's me with the camera on watching video together. So the goal is this week that I will edit all those videos and make it really nice, like make it aesthetically pleasing. At the same time, in editing all those videos, I'm going to go ahead and take note of all the answers to all the quizzes. I believe the combination of that when put together on, say, a Udemy or a YouTube or even our Kartra, will allow us to create like a course. Now, of course, the course is going to be free, but regardless if something's free or not, if you're not enjoying it, it doesn't matter how much you did not pay for it, right? So even if you're hungry and someone's like, hey, I got chocolate-covered grasshoppers that were regurgitated out of a bird, which is a great protein source, you're like, I get it, it's free, but that doesn't mean I'm obligated to eat this thing, right? So like, see you later. And that's the same thing with courses. So we want to make it quite good. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be applying to all the different positions this week that have hiring ads out for Salesforce user experience certified professional, right? And we have 9,000 for remote on ZipRecruiter, but there's many on Indeed. There's many on so many, like there are sites everywhere. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if I could find 50,000 different positions at 100,000 plus. Now, of course, the difficulty is, well, you have to go ahead and find them, create the resume that's tailored to them, email them, follow up with the emails, blah, 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 blah. So we want all this to be done by Friday so that we can go ahead and effectively create the ad. The ad being, hey, would you like to do this? Yes, you can. We did it ourselves. Let me show you how, right? In which case, if we can show, because I was actually on the phone with one of our RHINOs Friday, and he was like, hey, of the 150 something, how many are like, how many scheduled the test, right? Like how many got that far? And I said, I really don't think any. I go, we haven't been super engaged there. We're just putting it out there so that we can then edit it later on. So for someone to really go through the process, they're going to watch a lot of unedited films and really just have such a personal passion for it while knowing that the edited version's coming out. So we don't really think anyone's there. But that being said, of the 155, we're then going to introduce them to the new edited one that's quite good and walks you right through it. In which case, that is going to be the ad that we then start marketing. Hey, would you like this? Come check it out. And we'll have the whole assembly line of it completed. So that's the goal for Friday. Yeah, they do. So actually, Deborah, in RHINOHUB, if you go to the certifications and you click the Google button, you will find that we have them all. But yeah, Google, Meta, Salesforce, Microsoft, IBM, they all do it. So that's that. Plus, tomorrow, Salesforce is visiting us, and we have a lot that we'd like to discuss with them on this as well. So that's kind of where we're at, which actually doesn't sound all that exciting. Like, for instance, even I have a bit of fatigue when I'm looking through the numbers and I'm sending out the emails, and I'm like, well, this email was kind of the one yesterday, and these numbers aren't really doing anything special. And it's just the nature of building. Like, when you're building, the assumption, or at least the definition, is it's not built, right? Like, it's not done. And in any type of offering, you would like to go ahead and participate in an offering that's completed. Many people don't go ahead and say, hey, listen, look at them. They're almost doing it. They're halfway doing it. They're probably going to change a couple of things. Let me jump on board now. Like, that's not what happens, which actually is a complete credit to RHINO. The fact that we have so many so many evangelists, so many that are still participating, so many that stay with us every single week. That's what they're staying through. So although that doesn't sound quite interesting, when you take a look at the numbers, they don't represent a business, they represent a belief. And then you start realizing, whoa, when you think of it that way, that is quite impressive. So we believe those numbers are going to start picking up after this Friday. Well, we know it to be because we're going to do it, right? Also, what we're working on is creating some partnerships, right? And that's something that we haven't really focused on for quite some time. You know, when we were with Rick, that was good, right? Like he had an ecosystem. So whether it was RHINO Digital, RHINO Premier, you know, all we had to do was really make sure that we did the best job we could on the offering, and that if we built it, the people would be there because they were already there. When you don't have the people, it's a little more difficult. Now, of course, the people we have are already with us. So when you're talking about growth, it's talking about how do you create awareness of new people, like bring in more to the crowd. So we've taken some time on TikTok, and by that, it's a very manual process, right? So you have to scroll, and when you find certain, I guess you would call them influencers, but say this person that's doing this or this person that's doing this, and you see, wow, they have like 600,000 followers. And then you go over to their Instagram, you go over to their YouTube, and you do all this research, right? Like this is the manual part of it. Then you start looking up, well, where's their email? Is it first name, last name at gmail.com, or is it like contact at Premier Agency, right? Like we don't want to contact the agency. We want to contact the person. How many of them are actually saying, hey, listen, this is my email. If you like what I'm doing, let's see if we can make some partnerships. So I probably spent maybe 6 hours in total doing that this weekend and have about 30, which we would like a lot more. And I actually want to kind of make it part of the day, because it's those individuals that, you know, you could spend as much time as you want creating the emails and speaking to the person, right? So Anthony or Brian or whomever, and every one of us is quite valuable. Like every one of us is amazing, right? But every one of us represents one of us, which does not take away from the value, but it does go ahead and offer calculations to the future. And if you want the calculations to the future to be larger, it would behoove you to go ahead and also create awareness and also invite those where one person could equal 10 or 20 or 30. So we want to make those type of partnerships. And once we gain a little traction, you see, because the thing that I was actually thinking about this morning, everything's done. Like the search engine, the automations, the coin, like everything is done. Now we just kind of need to go ahead and share it a little more. And we've been doing it very boots on the ground, but it would behoove us to actually say, you know what? Let's delegate some of this marketing to those that are very good at marketing, to those that actually have an ecosystem already. And then we could set up deals and negotiations from there. But, you know, say for instance, we invited one person in and they have like 1 million followers and they're like, hey, I'm now a part of this and I'd like you guys to be a part of it too. That one person changes everything very quickly overnight. So that's also on our to-do list, and it's been being done. So I want to go ahead and craft an email that can actually speak to that individual in a way that they want to be spoken to. So that's what we have for today. Everything is very, very good. In fact, so lastly, so RHINO, I think it's like 212, and I wanted to purchase more RHINO yesterday, but our weekly allotment that Coinbase allows us, we hit our max. So just to let you know how much we've been in the market, I think if you take a look at it, it's worth almost 82,000. So we were in the market a lot this week, to the point that we maxed out how much we were allowed to purchase. This morning that got recycled, so we have purchasing power on hand, but that went through after I sent out the email this morning, which I always like sending out an email where the coin is higher than it was the day before. So I just want to share that the 212 today isn't a representation of, oh wow, they're tapped out or they don't have any. In fact, there's a lot of firepower, and I could really do a lot of stuff today, but I'm not going to do too much. But I am buying today. So that's that. I want to take a look at the stock market a little bit today. With the bank that went bust over the weekend, there's a large fear of contagion. And I believe once that genie's out the bottle, you don't put that genie back in. When you talk about banking, you're talking about, I was explaining this to my wife, you're talking about confidence, right? Because banks are allowed to lend out 10 to 1. So if all of a sudden individuals don't have the confidence that their funds are going to be given back to them or insured over 250,000, which is what the FDIC does, it insures up to 250. Well, then individuals are going to say, all right, I'm going to just leave 250 in every bank, take the rest out, buy treasuries or something. And those individuals, yeah, I saw that. But Maurice, it's still contagion. And so I'll get to that point, right? So contagion is not something you put back in the bottle or back in the lamp. So individuals say, okay, I'm taking my money out. In which case, those individuals taking their money out have a lot, right? Like, because if you're purposely leaving only 250,000 in, how much do you have? Like 1 million, 2 million, 10 million, whatnot. So even though, see, exactly. So even to Maurice's point, they covered it all. Can they do that in perpetuity, right? Because here's the thing. If even 1 or 2% of people say, okay, yeah, they covered it now, but this was a blessing from God. I'm not running this risk. I'm taking my money out right now. Well, now that whole 10 to 1 that's lent out is not 10 to 1. It's now 15 to 1. So the bank has to claw back some money so they can keep that 10 to 1 ratio. Once one bank does that, well, now what about the next bank? What about the next bank? Because once you start clawing it back, it's extrapolated, exponentiated 10 times across the whole ecosystem. So this is one of those days that the really smart people will say, okay, great, they got bailed out, but I'm not running that risk again, I'm taking my money out. And because the really smart people are going to do that, that's how this happens. Again, banking is a confidence game. Right now, there is no confidence. So how long does it take for it to happen? I don't know. Usually things like this are quite quick. So to Maurice's point, if you have a lot of money in a bank account, I would suggest kind of keeping it liquid. Have it in hand, which is actually funny. Bitcoin, I think, is up $2,000 today because everyone that ever owned Bitcoin's like, this is why we made it. Like exactly the reason. So RHINO's in a good place, right? Like if all the banks failed, RHINO would be like, hey, that's why we're here. All right, let me go. 17 minutes. I don't want to get to 21 before Mr. Melton reminds me. But absolutely love everyone. I will have my test at 3 o'clock today. I will be unavailable the entire day because I need to prepare and study for it on top of what I've already done. And what else do I have? All that other stuff I shared. It's all being done. You are a work of art. Thanks, Robbie. You know, I absolutely adore you. All right, love everyone, and I will see you later. Please report after the exam. So I will. So it's so funny. There's so many individuals here. So I will do it in. I'll do it in the email tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm just sending a second, like really, really big email. But Deborah, I will text you. I totally will. All right. Love everyone. Bye.